Thank you, Mabel. Thank you, Josh. And thank you, our esteemed panel, to be here today. So I think Sanjay has already set the background about the commercial realities and what our topic is, aligning the need of the RAP, MSLs, SCPs with the OP business model. So that's our topic today. And what we will be doing is what Sanjay discussed. We will be taking this forward and sharing our experience and the reality out here in China. So as we understand, the traditional commercial model is changing, and this has been changing and is been evolving over the year. We see primary rep was the only channel earlier, only connect for the doctors, but we are seeing the role is been evolving. We have key account management, we have specialty reps, we have remote reps, we have MSLs. So there are different roles which has been evolving in this market. So the first question is, right, how do we see that in China? Do we see the same things happening in China? Do you see the same happening in your organization? So let me ask first with Joseph, right? You're coming from primary care, you've been heading the primary care business. So do you see these changes happening in your organization or in the market, China market, where do you see a different roles coming up?
Thanks. Am I doing something wrong? It seems very loud. Okay, so first of all, maybe I just give you a very quick introduction of my team. Basically, we are a team called Primary Care Unit. Basically, we are playing the ground of China county market. Just give you a very quick idea. In China, we have 2,000 counties. So this is the playground we are in today. And talking about this new role. Okay, if they can hear me, I just can do without this. So talking about the evolving role of the rep, I think the name. So I think the name of the rep is not important, whether it's MSL or rep, or it's more important is that what's the value they are going to deliver in the market. It's more related to the market situation we are facing today in China. So it's very clear that majority of the multinational company today look into our product portfolio. I guess, the off-patent product can contribute up to like 80% to 90% in China. So the big question today for us is more how can we sustain and also how can we bridge to next level before our new product come into China. So this, having said that, I think then we face challenges basically from the market access point of view. So whatever it's in a big city or even in a county like what we are playing in, I think three functions is critical. The first one, of course, is the traditional like clinical promotion, that you are interfacing with physicians to drive the prescription. However, in the meantime, you need also to deal with key account stakeholders, who is the gatekeeper to get your product in the hospital and also prevent from being kicked out from the hospital. And also, definitely the decision maker, the policy maker. That's we are also facing in the company. So having said that, I know majority of the company we are setting up like KA, PA meaning public affair, but this kind of muscle will not, help in the small cities. So in Chinese we said even it's apparel, you have everything in the small apparel. So that's why, we still need to have a muscle in the county, each and every county, that you need to deal with this key account customer, you need to deal with this PA customer. So to me, the primary care sector reps, they have already shifted their role from a purely clinical detailing role to a kind of, it's a mixed role so far today. Yeah.
And what do you think, Gunia, when you come from developed markets, you come from the Europe, you have extensive experience in sales force effectiveness over there, and now coming to the China market, do you see this reality happening Europe and also in China?
So first, I don't know if the term developed is still accurate anymore when you see what's happening in China. So I think there is no developed or developing definition. What struck me, because as you mentioned, so just to give you a background, so I joined Chinese affiliate pharmaceutical 1 year ago, so I still have this double view of the European market. So I was in France, but I had also a view at the European level. What struck me still is this kind of paradox here, where you can see that digital is everywhere, e-commerce is totally booming and is in everyday's people life, that mobility is everywhere in a personal life. And at the same time, we have to face and to recognize that digital, or whatever we call it, innovative channel, is less than 1%, maybe not for all the pharma, but let's say for the big pharma, it's less than 1% of the day-to-day interaction with a customer and with a relationship. So, first, the good news is that there is an untapped potential. So we are just starting the process. The potential is huge. And second, there is also to recognize that we only see, it's like an iceberg, we only see the image part of the iceberg. Of course, there is a lot of interaction that are unstructured, dealing with the definition between our reps, between MSL. So now, I say the next frontier will be how we really structure those interactions in a compliant way, about the content that we can deliver, and of course about the interconnection between every channel to make a consistent customer experience. So that's.
So, but in your organization and Joseph, you do see different roles, right? You do see key account management teams. You do see. I also know in AstraZeneca some times back, we also had a flying reps, like who was responsible for the product listing, right?
Yeah.
So you do have a flying reps. You also have a distributor who's been managing your products, so they have their own sales team, the reps team. Some in some cases, MSLs definitely. Dr. Jack will talk about how the roles of MSLs has been emerging in this market. So MSLs also, what we are seeing is becoming more and more prominent. Companies are looking at, okay, I can take these MSLs from the key market to the also the broad market. So any thoughts, Dr. Jack, you would like to share from a medical point of view when you're managing the MSL teams?
Sure. Pardon me. A lot of thoughts. Good afternoon. So the question was, the roles are they changing? The answer is absolutely yes, because we're living in a world that's changing by the minute. So, there was no MSLs, there was no medical affairs, there was no marketing. Initially, there was only sales, right? You make a product and you sell it to the doctor, and the doctor will use it. But as we advance, the world gets more complicated. The drug getting more complicated, then you need to educate the doctor, making sure the doctor uses the right product for the right patient. And with that, policy changes, reimbursement environment changes, and then comes the digital revolution. That's very interesting. I was very interested to listen to Sanjay's presentation. Quite a few numbers that are shocking, because shocking and not at the same time, because half of the companies, or over half the companies, are not satisfied with the digital implementation in their own companies. I think our company is the same. Every company is struggling, trying to figure out how that affects them, and they really don't have a solution. I guess this is why we're here. Now, when you ask about specifically medical science liaisons, I think it's a little simplified way of asking the question, because MSLs is not, is only part of the medical affairs organization, in fact, beyond medical science liaisons, other functions within medical affairs are changing as well. They are also interacting with customers, directly or indirectly. And the industry trend, most recently, you probably have noticed, is that patient centricity. We used to be very much HCP centric. Now we're talking about patient centricity. So how do we do that? In certain geographies, like in the US, you can do DTC, but certainly not in China. But instead of DTC, or does DTC means that we can't reach out to patient in the absence of product promotion? So coming back to the question, with all these changes, MSL's role certainly changed. The MSL roles, typically there are two, right? They are communicating our objective scientific message to the physicians, telling or informing the physicians how properly, safely, effectively use our product. That's one fold. The other fold is they are gathering insights from thought leaders, the experts, what they think about our product, how they, give their input into our drug development or, promotion activities or scientific research, etc. So there are two folds of it, and traditionally that has been the case. But now things change, like Joseph was saying. We need to manage market access, get reimbursed. Your product needs to get reimbursed. So who's going to deliver that kind of message to not just HCPs, but the pharmacy committee for a hospital, the government officials? These all need, by default, falling onto the medical science liaisons. Certainly there are companies, I haven't seen any companies in China that has specific, HEO or MSL, but in the US, definitely. So yes, the short answer to your question is yes, the role certainly has changed a lot.
And we do also see that MSL also playing a remote role also in some cases. Also engaging the customer, engaging the HCP through the remote channels also.
Absolutely. Yes. So I'm not being exhaustive, listing all the things that MSLs are doing. For example, I'll give you a couple of examples what we're doing. So the MSLs used to engage the thought leaders. In addition to that, they hold small expert symposia, etc., so that they can communicate out the message. That's certainly not very effective, right? You can only hold 1, 2, 3 meetings in a week. So how can you reach to more physicians? We have tried a few virtual meetings, meaning I can have a on-site meeting in Shanghai and have that streamed out to different cities, and even put it on the WeChat platform, so the physician can open it up and watch that 20-minute presentation or 30-minute presentation in their car or wherever they happen to have that time. WeChat, Sanjay also mentioned rightfully that WeChat is very popular. You can't live without WeChat in China. So we, as a medical affairs organization in the medical communication group, that we set up this WeChat platform for HCPs. So they sign up. It's not that we just spam them, right? Because traditionally, medical information or medical communication is in a passive way of responding to HCPs. They have a question, we answer, and as we accumulate more and more questions, we generate the FAQs, frequently asked questions, and then we build a database. But now, we, based on all these queries, we generate those messages or answers to the commonly asked questions. We push them out. So it's a short. You don't need to read a whole scientific paper to get the message. For example, you would be surprised to hear the questions that HCPs ask about aspirin. Aspirin has been on the market for 130 years. And they ask about what is the best time to take it, in the morning or at night, or with food or without food. Things like that. You think, the rep would tell the doctors when they detail the doctor, but actually that's not the case. So we use that to, just as an example, to supplement the rep's work.
And that brings to the next question, Melin, was, are these reps or MSLs have been supported by these tools? These tools could be WeChat, or remote engagement. The technology is there, right? We all use the technology, but are these reps, the technology which they are using, are those technology enable them to send WeChat message, connect through a WeChat, use a remote engagement? When the physician wants to reach out to them, the physician can reach through those technologies, or send emails, use smartphones to engage the physicians. Is those technology available right now in the labs?
I think this is a very good question. First of all, I think we need to take one step back, because a lot of the times we still consider WeChat as truly a social media, and for most MNC companies, they are rather conservative when they heard about the term social media. So this is the reality, and I know a lot of the companies here in China, they've taken a lot of those steps. So they adopted the WeChat. They're sort of like tailor-made within their business needs, either from the sales angle or from the medical angle, and provide solutions to the physician. I think that's sort of the frontier or pioneer of that arena. And to me, you could think it this way. I think technology, a lot of times, they're just solutions. They may or may not be the best solution to address your business needs. It's up to the company, based on the product kind of characteristics, based on the nature of the market, that they need to design the tool in the most sort of like effective way. I'll just give you one example. It's probably not towards the physician side. It's more like commercial ops side. For example, like I know there are certain companies that are really advanced on their sales analytics. They would put their sales performance figure on WeChat, including the sales performance, and sometimes also the HCP information, the call information on WeChat. So as a rep, it's very easy for me just to see, okay, for today, how many physicians I visited, what is the kind of like month-to-date sales of my territory. But is this the most efficient way to manage their productivity? So that is actually a pretty big question mark. And I think, but again, I think you just need to realize that if you take a few years back, when we think about the commercial operations, it was rather simple and sort of like at really the primary school level for China market at that time. The sales operation, usually what you need to do at that time is just you need to understand the sales for the particular rep. Then you need to understand the target for that rep, and you calculate the incentives based on the sales performance. That was just a few years back. And now we have all those fantastic CRM. So you have the global names there. You also have domestic kind of products there, and some of them rather sophisticated. So even a single step, you want to add a physician in the system, it will take you several steps to get that done. Like you need to submit, you have the manager approval, then you have the BPO approval, and then you find your partner to validate the information, load in the system. I think it's a little bit overwhelmed. There are too many things in the process, and you have the sophisticated system do that. But to the sales team, is this the thing that they're looking for? Really help them to improve the productivity or understand the market better. May or may not be the case. So I think that it's a mixed situation. On one hand, yes, all the roles, not just the sales, marketing, medical, all the functions of roles, responsibilities change, fundamentally change. And we need to figure out a way, just to adapt to the change and make everything more productive. But on the other hand, with all those fantastic tools, technologies on the hand, what is the best one for my organization? To be honest, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to learn. I cannot really give the answer and say what I have so far for my team and my company is the best one, because I need to learn also. So I think this is where I think for the industry, from different angle of the industry, like from the manufacturer, us, like also from the kind of a consultancy, like the partner from you guys, we need to really work together, at least to understand the major issue and figure out how we can evaluate the effectiveness of the solution.
So that brings Joseph. In your organization, so your primary reps, like primary care reps, what is the additional tool which is missing, which can enable them much more, engaging the customers much more better? Like you have one technology, Gunir, you have another technology which you've been using. What is those technologies enough to solving all your problems of customer engagement? And I'm specifically talking about the rep-based engagement. Are those technologies sufficient to engage the customer? Or is this some of these cloud-based tools which we talked about, Dr. Jit talked about WeChat, or talked about email, could talk about smartphones. Is those still missing?
I think technologies will never be enough. But the thing is that, are we using them correctly? That's the critical question. So I guess I echo Mei-Lin's point. Basically, taking several years back, we are only using very simple, Salesforce management tool. But basically, there's one critical question that does those core numbers relevant to the performance. So there is actually the long journey between the cores being translated to the final sales number. So what's happening and what's the critical steps in between? That's the critical question. Before we're talking about what kind of tool. For sure, every company today, I believe we are using every kind of tools like WeChat, like WebEx, all these kind of things that you can name it. But the critical thing is that we really understand, do we have the real insight of the customer journey? As Sandy said, if we are talking about the customer centrics, are we really confident that we understand the customer journey in terms of, I put it very simple, to me, my physician, at least I can see 4 steps. The first step, non-communicated yet, meaning my rep has not yet communicated anything with his physician. Then the second step could be communicated, but not yet convinced, meaning not yet start to take the trial on our product. The third step on trial, and the fourth step, he understands how to use it and use it properly. And then the question is, what kind of behavior you expect your rep to, you see the behavior for each step alongside the customer journey. This is actually a critical question. Before you understand this, you have this insight. Whatever tools you're using, it's leading to the wrong way. So, that's something what we are trying to do, because it's more challenging to my team. I have like 1,000 reps and scattered all around in 1,500 counties. It's like one district manager can have, in average, the distance between the district manager and the reps could be like 40 kilometers away. It's a totally different model from Shanghai. In Shanghai, a district manager can call back his rep physically within 1 hour, taking the traffic jam. But in this area, we have no way. So the remote management is a critical challenge. So having said that, digital definitely can help. So we are using a lot of digital way in terms of remote checking, remote monitoring, in terms of are you calling, are you doing some behavior alongside the customer journey. But the critical thing, before we are using these tools, we need to understand what kind of behavior we want to observe. And we capture them. Then we are talking about the big data. Once we are clear about the behavior, and we can capture them and on our backstage big data, then we can feed this back to our managers. Then the manager can use them properly to really help the reps to move towards the right way. So to me, before the tool thing, it's more important what kind of customer journey insight we have today. We need to be clear on this. Then move to the tools. We are using almost every kind of tool, like WeChat. We are bringing our customers together, and we can have our medical colleagues to really develop kind of contents based on our understanding of customer needs. Of course, the challenge is that the process or the process for the content approval within company. Normally, this is
That's another story.
Also can also comment on this, but that one is for sure the nature of this industry. But I mean, we have ways. If we understand the true needs of the customer, we are going to find a way to settle this. So to me, the question is not about the tool, the channel. Yeah, it's more about what do we understand the customer.
So, Sukuni, I would like to ask you, if you want to add one more channel to your reps, what it could be beyond, beside what they currently have?
I don't know if I will answer to that, because I think there is not only one channel that can fit every need and every customer need on every brand need. So maybe I will go back to your first question. I think on my side, there is almost too many technologies and too many solutions accessible, and we have to be even more selective in the choice of technology, because most of the time, and it's the pitfall of marketers, marketers over for 10 years, we want to use the cutting edge, we need to also follow the buzz, and sometimes we lack some selectivity. So to echo what Mr. Shane said, I think yes, there is two main pitfalls I see, and I see that directionally in France and here when we are going to new technology or multi-channel. First is the real understanding and deep understanding of customer needs. This is too many times we answer to product needs and not to customer needs. That seems obvious when we say that, but when we are dealing with technology, it's even more vivid. And I would say more this customer needs understanding to be aligned cost function. Because sometimes what you say is that marketing have their own view of customer needs, people have their own. For the same customer, we have to have this realigned view of what are the deep unmet customer needs and how we can bring solution to give the answer to these unmet needs. So this is one. The other one, so this is more on the understanding and knowledge part. The other one is more on the activation part. And it's I would say it plays also on own DNA from a DNA perspective, a social perspective. We use to do promotion as a push. Push with a rep, we push with a listing specialist, because we are here to do say hard selling promotion. So we are not no compliance guys here, but that's the way the industry, pharma is already work. When you go to multi-channel, to digital life, remember the best customer experience on the net and in the digital, you have the choice. So it's on demand. What works on the multi-channel level, the multi-channel world is on demand. Like you select what kind of channel you want to see, and then the provider and push a customized solution to your profile. So this is really what we are looking for. We are quite far away from this, but and then we have some good example that's AstraZeneca, whether in China but also in country. We are starting for the moment. The limitation is maybe the small scale, because to get opt-in is still a challenge here. But I think that's really the future. So this on-demand offer will be the future of pharma interaction.
Can I just say
Yeah,
something
yeah.
about it? I think that, first of all, I think that I agree with you both on this, and I take this question, I would like to answer from a different angle. So with all those different tools that we already have on hand, what will be the most fundamental one? We have to play it right. We have to. All the multinational, multi-channel kind of tools and solutions, everything started with the understanding of the customer, of course. But to be honest, I think for all the companies here in this room, I'm not sure how confident you are with even your customer database. The very simple one, the master. I mean, I'm not even talking about, beyond the insights. On-demand is the ideal world, and like we all shop online. We're all preparing for the Double 11, the celebration next week. Right? So when we open our sort of like a Taobao website, we all have personalized screen. Like for me, I have a lot of shoes, of course, and bags. Just kidding. That shows how they understand me, right? If you take a look at our master database at our customer level, it's basically, first of all, it's incomplete. Second of all, it's inaccurate. So without this piece of the information, I would say it's very difficult for us to truly do a multi-channel company right. I think that's the first thing. The second thing, I think, is the basic, I think the CRM, whatever platform we have, the platform itself. Now we're at a point that initially started very simple one. You just basically for the reps to tap in the face-to-face interaction with the physician with a simple message. Sometimes even the objections that you have. That's pretty much all. Then gradually you build it in. We call that e-detailing elements, right? You link to e-detail kind of a profile. You click on it, everything, all your steps will be recorded. But it brings a lot of the challenges, along with the content itself. Approval process, it takes really long. A lot of the kind of functionalities we cannot really enable in the system. And so the CRM is already a little bit unstable. Now all of a sudden you have the other kind of like requirements from the company. Also your compliance requirements. You need to have a lot of things recorded in the system. Later on we'll be able to put it out and probably link to your comfort expense system and all those things. The medical kind of like MSL activities later on will be built into the CRM as well. So all those things come from different angles, and hey, all of a sudden they want a CRM as well. So all of a sudden your solution becomes so unstable, and you have demands from everywhere, and you have realized that you have system basically you're trying to satisfy everyone, but no one is satisfied. And it's very complicated just to have a single point of view to operate it, just to achieve the same goal. We want to understand our customer better.
So maybe I'll come on the data and insight part in the last part. But before moving to the data and CRM and the challenges over there, I just want to conclude this part. In the remote, when we talk about the remote, and we were talking about the remote channels, now looking at the current changes in the government policy in China, the access to the physician is becoming more and more difficult. And that's what highlighted by Sanjay and you, Joseph, you also had on that. So how do you see these remote channels, remote tools to the reps will be helpful in connecting with their customers better? So Joseph and Jake, first Joseph, yeah.
Sure. It's not an easy question. I think But I just want to extend what Sanjay mentioned, say customer focus. Maybe I want to extend one step further. It's a patient-centric. Because eventually the industry is here to provide end value to the patient. And the good thing now, today, it's very clear we are positioning patient in the center. The reason is that when we put the patient in the center, it's easier for us to find aligned topic together with our governments, with the hospital presidents. Because I just want to remind, hospital presidents is the most important group of customers in the future in China, because they have all the say. Then go back to your question. Do we need a remote reach, or we are doing something we still secure, say we believe the physical contact is more valuable compared to remote reach? Then the answer is really to see how can we secure the physical contact, and what's the barrier? And the barrier could be the hospital president and the hospital administrators. So it's all about appointment. If they allow you, they trust you. The trust is the first.
Sure.
If you can, develop some kind of a patient-centric program to help the hospital president to attract patient flow to his hospital, you are going to have the trust. But before, if we only focus on our product, hospital presidents have no interest or very low interest about product only. Their interest today is more on the patient flow. Not only in the big city, because big city hospital is losing the patient flow down to the primary sectors, but also the primary hospital, they think they even don't have enough today. They want more. So this is something we need to think about. If we believe the physical contact is still important, then we need to really map out the customer groups to see what's the critical one, and we need to really settle that part. And talking about the remote, I believe remote can always be a supplementary tool. I guess Victoria is coming from a company, I know she's going to be on the second topic. She will bring more details about what we have been doing today, actually putting the remote reach as a supplementary tool instead of a major role in his communication or contact.
So, Dr. Chick, how do you see this change in government policy in terms of accessing to the physicians, restricting in the accessing to the physicians? And then we do see in some of the big cities this already happening.
How would I see that? Pardon me. I think it's a great thing. I think it's an absolutely wonderful thing for the industry. To put everybody on the same play field and the same level. Just follow up on the early on. I want to make 2 points. One is, we have all these digital technologies. We're trying to figure out how to, equip reps with them. But first, we have to ask what they need. What do they need? Need is all, the mother of all inventions, right? I'll give you an example. So our reps, medical information, back to medical information. The rep will need to send an email or call to get an answer, right? So the number of calls, queries, we call them, are not very great because they don't even want to make a phone call. They don't even want to write an email unless they have to. Now we know that the smartphone is every rep has. So we had a survey before the annual meeting, and they said, okay, if they, you can put things on the smartphone, that'd be great, and we did. So in addition to the phone line, to email access to medical information, we put it on WeChat. They can, when they were visiting the doctor, they have a question, doctor has a question, they couldn't answer, they'll put it there right away. And we saw drastic increase in the number of queries. So this is need-based.
Sure.
Talking about the remote access, I'm sure other company has the same thing, virtual MSLs, right?
Yeah.
So then I asked the question, what do these MSLs do, right? So yeah, when a rep visits a doctor, the doctor either had a very difficult question for him to answer, or the doctor wants to talk about off-label things, right? But typically, we equip MSLs in the major hospitals, the key opinion leader, so-called, or thought leader. So they're covered. What do you think a third-tier city rep will cover, right? It is a HCP, right? Not by the standard that we call them thought leader. So it's really a need for medical information or instantaneous medical information. So we can, what we can do is to use that virtual MSL app, but supplement it with virtual MedInfo or instantaneous MedInfo. So need is the mother of all inventions. So we need to figure out what we need first before saying, hey, here's a digital storm. Let's build more and more systems and make it more complex. Just like the CRM, everybody's filling in information but don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. And CRM, like coming to the CRM is usually the largest spend from the commercial enablement, right? For any organization, as Sanjay was mentioning, about millions of dollars have been spent on the CRM. And CRM was supposed to, the main role of CRM was supposed to be automate and simplify the Salesforce activities. Right? But most of the users see this is more of a burden rather than an impact creator. Right? So how do you see it? Do you see the investment versus the traditional CRM, CSF is a sustainable situation? Or do you see, let me ask Joseph, do you see this is, we need to relook at this model, or this model will evolve over the period of time?
Yeah, I guess, taking 3 years back, I guess I also have the same pain points, I guess, across the industry. Because when we clean up our CRM database, we can find it's around like 10-20% actually have no idea who are they, but they claim as a doctor or whatever here. So the thing that, because at that time I think we are not serious about this data, because we have not yet get an idea what kind of behavior we trust or we believe that our reps, the interaction between our reps and the customer actually can bring us the value in terms of sales. So that's why we start from actually from the very beginning, saying, first of all, let's understand what kind of needs. Alongside the journey, as I said, the customer journey from have no idea of our product and disease all the way he or she know everything about how to use the product to benefit the patient. So we really map out all these kind of key behavior. We believe it could be correlated to our sales. So once we get this done, then it's about how can we use these kind of very cutting-edge technologies to identify those behavior and to check those behavior, and also give the feedback on time to the frontline managers to make sure those behavior to be in place and sustainable. So to make it simple, just give you an example. In the beginning, we are using the iPad. We are not the first group using the iPad. Actually, there are companies using iPad 3 or 4 years earlier than us. But it's, at that time, we understand it's all about e-detailing. That's the function of the iPad. But when we use the iPad, we understand this is a behavior tracking system instead of only e-detailing. So if you put this as a behavior or useful behavior tracking system, then the database will be cleaned up eventually. Because we should make sure that the customer, the frontline rep inputted will be through a checking system. and then not only, check, once they are in the database, they need to be classified into 4 categories in terms of the 4 stage. And then we need to make sure they are moving from the lowest stage all the way to the up stage. So it's on a monthly basis, and it's in a manageable way. It's actively managed. So by design, in this kind of a system, iPad is no longer a tool for e-detailing. It's a territory management tool. So to me, I think yes, before we have the similar suffer, but it's all about we need to understand what we need, and then we use this kind of technology to actualize what we want.
So Gunia, here comes, so we saw Sanjay presented that 22% of the calls reps actually use the CRM or use the iPads. Do you, I noticed that you differ with those data. So what's your experience in China in terms of usage of iPads, usage of experience?
I would say it's a good example of data quality. Are you sure of the 22% around the board? I will challenge a bit even the 22%. I think it's even less in the reality, especially when you have to deal with a lot of newcomers, new reps, new organization. It also takes some time to manage those kind of tools. So, yeah, first of all, I will echo quite a lot of what the previous speaker said. So it's about data because it's one of the rule of thumb, but garbage in, garbage out. You can build the best multi-channel plan if the data, the input data is fairly inaccurate. You will strike. After, I would say 2 things. First, we have also to be clear, we will not achieve 100% accurate data. So I would say better to know the kind of scale of inaccuracy of the data, and then we use it in a proper way. And secondly, we cannot blame, and I think that's one also the pitfall. You cannot blame the rep give you an inaccurate data if you only present them the CRM as a punishment. So putting KPI, how many numbers of calls you have to say, and I'm coming from the SFE world, so no feelings about that, but we are presenting the CRM to reps more as a punishment or as a way to track their activity. So rather than blaming them, we have to educate them. I know it's not easy when you have a large-scale sales force, thousands of people, thousands of new people every year. So education, training is not an easy thing to achieve, but to present them the profiling, the way of profiling their customer, to seek from the unmet needs as a benefit for them, of course, first for the patient, but also for them as salespeople or as overall MSL or CAM people. So I think the key is also to switch the mindset from I would say punishment tracking to building comprehensive customer journey. And also to give an example, and I experienced that very deeply with our friends here, I will really, if I have tips to give you, and it's not disclosing confidentiality, don't put in the incentive scheme, don't put any CRM, KPI data, then link your incentive scheme of the reps to CRM, profiling topic. I fall in that, I would say, I fall in that pitfall, and I think it's really disencouraging the quality data rather than have a really positive view of the CRM.
So Melvin, the last one is how do we are using this insight or data insight which has been captured? So the CRM is supposed to be capturing the data inside of each interaction, behavior. You talked about the personalized journey, what you get in the tower, but you don't get. How can we do that in life science?
And I think that, first of all, I echo what Daniel just mentioned, that you have to think of what's in it for the rep, what's in it for the team. And I fully agree. I think the CRM and iPad solution, all those kind of things, we're trying to help them to be more productive, just to begin with. With that in mind, you have all the data that you generated, you collected in the system, and you just figure out how we can make it helpful to the team. And I think that it will be, you can have a different layer of angles and analytics, because it's very easy for us to say we invested so much in the system and analytics, and we want to make sure that management will feel comfortable. Let's generate a really fantastic dashboard. That's very easy for us to say. But if we started from that angle, all of a sudden people can say, okay, so all you are doing is just to try to monitor me. I know that for a fact that my Asia Pacific president would know exactly which physician I'm visiting today. Let's just keep the information in a really nice way. So it's very easy to do that, because that's usually what the team does. The other angle will be if we only try to achieve, so have the team to be productive, we think from the rep angle, we think from the MSL angle, what they will need to understand the set of the data. And if we do it that way, for example, with the mobility, with the mobile kind of a device, iPads, we'll be able to generate really simple dashboard, really simple analytics, just from the rep point of view. These are my target hospitals, my markets, and these are my potential kind of call list. And all of those, I'm listing this kind of list of physicians. Am I doing the right targeting, right? So the marketing team come back to us, give us the instruction on the profiling. The information that I receive from the system, is it correct? Maybe I'm doing something that I could improve, to do a better target. Things like this, and I can track my kind of call activities on a really real-time basis, understand my coverage and frequency. So things like this, I think that would be extremely helpful. And again, I think we have all those technologies available, and all those fantastic tools available. It's all about how we can utilize it. And so, because I'm in the operation field for a long time, I'm a strong believer that we need to pay more focus at the front level, because several speakers mentioned the size of the team is so large, and with the high turnover rate, you need to constantly train the team, help them understand the system, and again, also help them to build a confidence that this is the platform, this is the analytic tool, really going to help you. So how to do that.
Thanks, Kevin. So before we end, we would like to take some questions from the audience, and not only the questions, if somebody has a set different view or want to add on this discussion. Any?
It's a quiet audience.
Yes.
I'm first, and then I'll come to you.
Yes, Mary.
Hi, I actually have one question. Sanjay mentioned just before the AI rep, and we know it's starting in some other industries, but we know how slow we can be in pharma to move on, and we can see that even remote rep is not that common in our industry. So how fast do you think we are going to move into AI reps? And do you believe that in a market like China, which is so, depending on the relationship, an AI rep is going to work?
I would just, out of impulse, I'm going to answer this question to you really fast. We all know Amazon is a really big player in the US, and they have all those fantastic technologies for those home delivery solutions. But if you take the step back and take a look at the Chinese market, and we have all the scooters on the street competing with those kind of delivery kind of mechanisms worldwide. So I still consider that it's not about technology, it's about the market. And for me, I think China, we have sufficient labor, at least for this moment, to address that issue. It's not about technology. Again, I think it's about the market. Generally speaking, Chinese people, we tend to relate to each other more closely than the other culture. And for example, like for market research, we do market research like physician interviews, right? So global-wide, way back, you already have like an online survey, sometimes phone call, interview with physician, very easily, right? In China, most of the time now, you still need to go into the hospital, conduct face-to-face interviews. It's not about technology, it's about human contact. So this is how I see it.
And really to add on that, and I go the same way. First, I think it already started. It's not even tomorrow, it's started. But it's, for me, AI would be a fabulous and outstanding support to the sales rep activity. And what of the advantage, I would say, if I have also this double hat, I would say European and China. China is also emerging disadvantage. There are a widespread, strong and positive belief on technology. In Europe, whole Europe, you have quite reluctance to see this new technology help smart recommendation on your job, because you know your job, population is more important than this kind of automatized recommendation. Here in China, I think AI is really cutting edge. And the people see it as an advantage and a competitive edge even in their business. So now we have to explain, of course, to a sales rep how we can support, help, optimize, and make them more productive in their day-to-day job.
I think it was Gwenelle earlier who mentioned that digital touchpoints represent about 1% of interactions. I'm sure across the panel there will be a range that might be above or below that, but probably not too much far away from it. And the question I have is, as we follow up from Sanjay's analysis of ROI of reps as a channel today, and we think about digital moving more towards the core of what we do in pharma versus just a complement to the more traditional channels. I'm wondering if anybody in the panel thinks about it in terms of, what should be a right percentage of interactions in the next 3 years or 5 years? Is it a little bit more than 1% and a lot less than 50, or what is it?
Just what you see in the primary care business.
Yeah, I guess currently our ratio is around 10 to 15%, maybe 20%, okay. So even higher. And we don't have a very aggressive number for the next maybe 5 years. The reason is that we do believe we need to understand what's needed instead of what's the number we want to approach. Because it's all about like the AI thing. Today, actually, we are doing AI in our organization already. There's one thing, say, we help our doctor because the primary care doctor, they are quite low level. And we give them one tool, the APP is like once you have a patient profile, you fill in like the blood pressure, weight, age, whatever. And then there's a ground logic to building this guideline there. And then once they click those profile, will come up with several recommendations. So for the doctor to say, this guy could be likely very seriously or moderate, or it's just a triple one. So, this is already an AI approach. But this kind of thing we are testing because we must make sure this kind of tool will be welcomed by the physician before we really want to roll out this kind of application. So that's why maybe in the next panel discussion, the same question you can throw to Victoria, just sit next to you, the lady. beautiful lady.
Any more questions?
I saw Victor was also raising hand.
And in the next panel discussion with Victor, we will be discussing about the AI, how we are going to use the content, using AI in targeting the right content to the right positions. Yeah. Okay, I think we are lost of time, right? So thank you very much. Thank you, Merlin. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Dr.